I've told people this before. He's the fastest quarterback in the country.
100%.
And I'm not just at the high school level. Like he's got to be top three fastest quarterbacks in the country at any level.
Oh wow!
So
like you're talking. Wait, hang on. You're talking about like NFL level too?
Yeah, put him against Lamar Jackson in a straight line. It'll be tighter than most people think.
Oh, you heard it. Wow. You heard it here first.
You heard
Guys
it first.
Being Dudes, episode 12. Greg Panelli. And here we are. Guys Being Dudes, episode 12. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to Guys Being Dudes. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course, if you're a visual learner, then YouTube. But hey, Luke, how is your day going today, man?
Man, it's another great Tuesday. I can't complain.
It's another great Tuesday, man.
Yes, sir.
Hey, week-to-week basis, we continue to get it done.
Every week, every Tuesday.
Guys, this week we got a dude. We got a real dude. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the QB guru, Mr. Greg Panelli. Greg, how's your day going, man?
Good, man. Everything's good so far. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, sir, man. But hey, prior to current Panelli Passing Academy, which is what the brand that Greg has built over the years, which we will be getting into, Mr. Panelli is a former Division I quarterback who grew up in Newman, California. Greg attended Modesto Junior College for 2 years. Following many accolades at MJC, Greg later earned a scholarship to Eastern Washington University, where he was a part of a 2010 FCS National Championship team. With playing days now in the past, family man Greg hosts multiple QB camps and individual one-on-one lessons where he looks to share his knowledge of the position on both mental and physical aspect. But hey, we got a lot to cover today, Greg. We got a lot to cover, man. We're very excited to have you on, you know. But hey, you're living the dream, dude. Talk about that. Talk about that. QB coach, man, getting to travel the country with your boys, you know, seeing a lot of things. I mean, to me, you're living the dream, man. Talk about that.
No, it is. It's truly a dream, honestly. I thought about doing this with the Passing Academy or just quarterback training in general, probably 7-8 years ago.
Really?
You know, I look back at the quarterback coach that I had, Roger Theater, who was in the Bay Area, was a guy that I trained with at junior college, and a lot of quarterbacks here in California trained with him. He was the guru. I'm just a quarterback coach, so I don't call myself the guru by any means, but he was the guru. He was kind of like the godfather of quarterback training here in California, in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So he owned the market. He passed away a couple years ago, but I always thought, you know what, that would be a pretty cool job to have, like training quarterbacks, making your own schedule, just, you know, working the hours that you want to work, being able to spend time with the family. Like that's something he was doing while making good money doing it. So I worked in finance before I started training quarterbacks. And right after school, so I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but right after I finished college, I went and worked for the University of Oregon. So I did ticket sales and marketing there for football, baseball, basketball. And then I ended up meeting my wife, came back, worked in finance, did sales a little bit, and then started to get the itch to train quarterbacks. And then kind of took a leap of faith, and we've been rolling ever since.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take that leap of faith, but you know, there's a lot of background, there's a lot of backstory to just you right now. You're not just a quarterback coach. You know, you played, right? You used to play.
Yep.
So let's get into like how you became an elite. You went from an elite player to an elite coach. Like how did that happen?
I think obviously going to Coach Theater. So Roger kind of groomed me, but you know, being around good dudes all the time. I had a really good bunch of teammates at Modesto Junior College, even in high school. But in high school, we played in a smaller conference. We played a lot of really good talent in high school. So but the division we were in, I think it was Division 5. Kind of struggled against some of the bigger teams or guys that were more developed or maybe had just a little bit more coaching, whatever it may be. And I'm not throwing my guys under the bus. We weren't as talented as some of the other schools, but we did have some dudes. So it wasn't the most recruited guy out of high school. Ended up going to Modesto Junior College. I gray shirted there. And then after MJC, obviously I had the opportunity to go to Eastern Washington. Showed up at Eastern Washington kind of 2 days into this, or 2 days being there, found out that Bo Levi Mitchell was transferring in from SMU. He ended up being a great quarterback at Eastern Washington. We won the national championship that year, so I was the the All-American clipboard holder / backup / signal caller guy from the sidelines. And so I knew where my spot was, obviously, at Eastern Washington. And then I ended up transferring to a smaller school out in the Midwest, and I was there for about 8 months and right outside of Omaha, Nebraska. And then I ended up getting hurt. So the last 3 weeks of college football was like concussion, broken finger, and I tore my ACL, MCL, meniscus, and then I called it quits thereafter. So it was kind of a rough going out party, if you would, or for lack of a better word, I don't know. It wasn't necessarily a party, but it wasn't the greatest way to go out. But I lost the itch for a while. So I did it for a long time, obviously being in football for however many years. And then I lost that itch. Just didn't even really want to be around the game that much. So I separated myself from football. Didn't even pick up football for probably a couple of years. Then I worked on the front office side of sports. And then as I was completely out of sports, working in finance, just taking that break from football, that's when the love kind of renewed for it. And so I just, like I said, I took the leap of faith to start the quarterback training. And I think having that open mindset of not necessarily being, just because you played quarterback doesn't mean you can coach quarterbacks. You know, there's a lot of great coaches in the NFL that didn't even play football or play at a high level. So just kind of taking my own medicine, learning from other dudes that are around the industry. My buddy Danny Hernandez is down there in Southern California. Him and I bounce ideas off of each other. He's been doing it for a while. There's, other guys throughout the country. There's Tom House, who trained Tom Brady and Drew Brees, and he's been kind of at the forefront of the biomechanics world. Will Hewlett, there's Sean McAvoy, who's out there in Atlanta. So just learning bits and pieces from different guys around the country, and taking what they do and putting your own spin on it, or sharing ideas of what you do and giving it to them and that type of thing. But I think just trying to further the education and not being the know-it-all type of quarterback coach that thinks you have all the answers, but trying to pick and pull from different guys is probably the best way that I've grown to what it is now.
So you're always learning as picking and pulling, like you were saying. You're always learning, which doesn't make you a know-it-all, right?
I think you have to. I think the second that you start thinking you have all the answers is the second that the business is going to start dying.
Yeah, nobody knows everything about whatever you're in. Nobody knows everything. In baseball, they always say like, "Oh, there's not one person that knows everything." And I'm sure that goes with football, right? That's why you pick and pull. Right. What you like. You put your own twist on it and make it yours.
Absolutely.
But did you always have a passion for football? Like, did you play any other sports?
Yeah, I played baseball. I played basketball. I was probably better at baseball growing up.
Really?
Even in high school, I was probably better at baseball. But just football gave that little different feel, I guess, being a quarterback, being a leader of a team, having the ball in your hands every play, and I always had a pretty strong arm, so being able to chuck it downfield. And I wasn't even a guy in high school that knew necessarily how to read defenses that great. It was more of just kind of play and freestyle, and I had good athletes and a couple good receivers around me, so it was more so chucking the ball up. But I played baseball, shortstop, third, and I pitched. And then going into my junior year, I hurt my back. I was throwing a no-hitter at one of the schools, and I hurt my lower back. And I know I had the Elite 11, which is the top quarterback competition for high school quarterbacks. I had that a few weeks thereafter. So I remember pulling myself from the game, and then the rest of the season was kind of shot just because my lower back was messed up, and I didn't want to screw it up anymore heading into the Elite 11. But then going to my senior year for baseball, I had a good senior year for football. Then going to my senior year for baseball, I was hitting, I think, 400+ for the majority of the season, pitching 4 or 5 innings just because my back still was kind of jacked up. I had to go to the chiropractor a couple times a week just to function in baseball and swing the bat.
Geez.
But, I always loved baseball. I always loved football. At a young age, I loved baseball way more.
So at an early age, right? It sounds to me like you truly enjoyed baseball more. Right, was that what was that your overall life goal at the time? Were you trying to become an MLB player?
Yeah, that was the goal for sure. And then my sophomore year was kind of clicked with football. Like going into my freshman year, 2 days before football even started, I wasn't even going to play football.
Wow.
My mom ran into one of the coaches at the grocery store, and he asked, pretty much was like begged her for my brother and I to come out. They needed numbers, and we ended up showing up there the next day to first day of Hell Week, and it was terrible. Like we didn't no conditioning the whole summer going in from my 8th grade year to my freshman year. And
did the coach know you just had a freaking arm or what?
Yeah, like they watched me play Pop Warner, and I didn't even play Pop Warner my 8th grade year. It was all baseball. Like when I was young, it was all baseball.
Wow.
So I ended up showing up to practice, trying out for quarterback, and there was me and one other guy, and I ended up winning the job. And then the rest is history. Going to my sophomore year, they talked about moving up to varsity, and I knew we had a pretty good team that was going to be down on JV. So I stayed on JV. Didn't want to move up to varsity. We ended up winning league that year.
That's awesome.
From there, it was like that love for football really set in, just because we had a really good season, and I felt like that winning vibe. So I would say that I think sometimes, I wouldn't say I have any regrets, obviously, but I gave up maybe on baseball a little bit too soon instead of focusing on both. I gave up on baseball maybe a little bit too soon, and who knows what could have happened with baseball. I could have went and played at JC or some of the smaller D2 schools probably, given what I did in high school. But if I would have taken it more serious, then maybe things would have been different. But it's changed so much now, where you got travel baseball.
Yeah.
Right. You got social media as a whole has changed everything with
completely
Twitter, and now you got these recruiting, or not even recruiting, but like the film services like Huddle.
Yeah.
Where everybody goes on Huddle and watches game film. You make a highlight tape in 2 minutes after a game and send it out on Twitter and Instagram and whatever it may be.
Yep.
Now there's baseball. Obviously, travel ball is like the thing to do. Like if you're not doing travel ball, you're probably not making it in baseball.
Yeah,
right?
It's exactly.
Softball, volleyball, basketball. Like most of the travel leagues are way more competitive. Football, you have 7-on-7, but it's only 7-on-7, so it's not real football. Football is like the only sport, realistically, and obviously soccer as far as the travel stuff goes too, but football is like the one sport in high school that you have to play with that team. There's no travel football teams like there was last year during the pandemic.
True.
But like you only get that fall season to play real football. There's no other
time throughout the year.
There's no other time throughout the year. So it's like you get those 10 games of real football if you don't make the playoffs. And if you do make the playoffs, you get 12, 13, 14 games or whatever it may be. But you get 14 weeks and that's it. And then everything resets.
How is it in high school? Do all teams make playoffs? Because I know in baseball, all teams make playoffs.
They do here in the track. See, I think in the track, I've noticed that for football, all of the teams make the playoffs. For us, it was the top 2 teams in each league would make the playoffs.
Really?
The best record.
Oh, wow.
I didn't make the playoffs in high school. We played in a very stiff conference. So Central Catholic was a big school that they always won the section titles when we were playing. They always won the league titles. Hillmar High School is really good. Patterson High School is in our league. So those guys were all a little bit above us as far as high school football goes. And they changed that league going into my senior year.
Okay.
So we had some close games, but yeah, just overall
Do you think that if your mom didn't run into the coach that day at the store, your life would be different now?
Yeah, it might be. Honestly, I really don't know. I can't say looking back, but yeah, I probably wouldn't have played football. Wow. I would have just been the baseball guy that going into my freshman year. So I played baseball and basketball my freshman year as well. And we won league in both. We won league in basketball, and then I ended up stopped playing basketball because I wanted that break. So I played football, then straight to baseball after. But yeah, I probably wouldn't have, honestly. So things might have been different.
That is nuts. So back when you were in high school and you're playing baseball and football, were you going to like baseball camps over football? Were you going to any like football camps, or is it like small town? Is Newman a small town?
Yeah, it's a two stoplight type of town where there's 10,000 people or something like that. So pretty small. I think my graduating class is like 115 kids or something like that.
Holy moly.
Kids. So yeah, pretty small. But again, there wasn't as many football camps. Yeah. There wasn't as many baseball camps. Like I didn't go to quarterback coach in high school. I went to a couple camps. I went to the Cal camp when I was a sophomore. I got invited to the Fresno State camp when I was going into my senior year. I did the Elite 11 and the Nike football training camp, which is now called the Opening. And baseball, I didn't do any camps. I didn't do any travel ball. I went to a pitching coach for 3 years, once every couple of weeks, but that was the extent.
That was about it.
Never did any hitting coachings or any of that stuff.
How different, and is it probably because of social media now too? But how different is the camps back then, like your quarterback camps that you were going to and stuff, and the Elite 11s compared to now?
I think it's because of social media. It's more available to people, right? So people are able to see that there are more camps available, but there's also more quarterback coaches, and there's different services or recruiting services that have come up out of the woodworks the last 10 years or so that are making these camps more available, or these showcases where they're going to, basically it's a combine for the first half, and the second half of it would be like one-on-ones and more of a camp type of setting. So there's a ton more. It seems like almost every weekend in the off season there's something going on, and then plus 7-on-7 as well. So football has become a year-round type of thing.
Right.
From the camp perspective, the 7-on-7 perspective, then you go into your summer workouts with your team, and then you're straight into the season. And then right when the season's done, basically you get December off, and then it's right back into 7-on-7 or getting camp prep. And now the college camps have changed, which is a huge thing for recruiting. Like this past year, the college camps were able to, or the colleges were able to host like private workouts. And so you could go basically do a one-on-one workout with a quarterback coach, if you're a quarterback, or a receiver, or whatever it may be, with that position-specific coach. So they're seeing you up close and personal. Versus back in the day, it was more team camps, and that was it. So like if Fresno State did a camp back in the day, it was full pads, team camp, or some teams would like bring their full teams, and then some would be like renegade teams where they just piece together random players and from different high schools and put them together. But those were always full padded camps. Now they're one day, like $50, show up for one day, and it's like a 3-hour camp. And there's coaches from other universities that are also helping out at those camps. So the access to other college coaches for recruiting is like, it's skyrocketed now, because versus just being in the Fresno State staff, now you got 14, 15 other colleges that are there helping out at that camp for the 4 hours. But basically it's used as a recruiting tool.
Wow. That is crazy. So, dude, wow. That's nuts. I had no idea I really don't have any idea about the football recruiting side of things. I know a lot about the baseball aspect of it, going through it myself. And what I've noticed is, because I make videos for you, for like when you get guys recruited, I've noticed that in the football world, things are more hype. I like to say, like swaggier, right? There's more music, more like guys, that confidence, that swagger looking. Because when they take that out to the field as a coach, do they notice that? Do they notice like the swagginess of the guy?
They definitely do, and it just depends on the guy. Like if you're a dude, or first of all, you better be a dude. If you're gonna carry yourself in that certain demeanor or that certain way, like you better be a guy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just gonna be the dude that just has all the swag in the world, that stands on the sidelines. You look good pregame, and then you don't even step on the field type of thing. So
I feel that
you better carry it through. It can't just be a thing where you're talking and. You got the talk game, but you really don't have the real game.
Right. Yeah.
But it's become more. I don't want to say prima donna-ish, but it has.
But what I was trying to get to is like, what are coaches looking for now when they're recruiting guys out of high school?
They want confident dudes, like, for sure. And that dudes. Some of it's false confidence, right? Where you get guys that are this false confident, they act like they're about it, but they're really not about it. But just that ownership, like you're owning your position, especially at quarterbacks. Like you have to own the position. If you're a guy that is quiet and you don't stick out from, like if you go to a camp and you're the kind of guy that just goes to the back of the line and you're not saying much, but you have a really good arm and you got great feet and a good football mindset, like you're going to have to figure out different ways to stick out. And everybody's different, right? So the coaches are paying attention to every little detail, whether it's you standing in the back of the line and not say anything. How do you act amongst others? If you throw a bad ball, what is your reaction when you do throw that bad ball? Are you pissed off? You don't want to talk to anybody? You shut down? Are you coachable thereafter? So every little thing is being noticed. But from a quarterback perspective, if you're going to be that outspoken, kind of loud, swag, carrying type of dude that's just not necessarily obnoxious, but you're really out there, like you better back it up. But I would say most of the time, some coaches like that, but they would probably want more of like the reserved leader that does have that confidence and you speak confidently to others. And you can tell people this, that, and the other thing within an offense or within changing routes or protections or whatever it may be. But just owning the position on and off the field.
Yeah. How have times changed compared to like back when you were trying to get recruited? Like what were they looking for in a quarterback back then compared to now?
I would say that confident guy. It's somewhat similar but it's made it like I said, social media's made it more ready. Like the content that you're going to put out, like as far as highlight tapes or game film, is more readily available now. They can call a coach and get a huddle link immediately, right? Yeah. Or they just Google your huddle and now they're looking at your game film, and you might not even know it. But the RPO game, like the run pass ops, like the shotgun game, the running from the quarterback has changed a little bit. A lot of people are more shotgun now, spread offenses. So from a quarterback perspective, you're not going to see as much of the Tom Brady's or the Drew Breeses or the Peyton Mannings of the world, even though they've got it done over and over and over, year after year in the NFL. You're starting to see more of the Mahomes, the Josh Allens of the world, the Trey Lances, the Justin Fields, the twitchy, quick guys that can extend plays, do it all, have a big arm, but just kind of freakishly athletic and underestimated from their athleticism.
How much do you think that has to do with the advancement in like technology and like information that we've just learned over the past years?
I think it has a lot, honestly, with training facilities more available, right? Yeah. Supplements, biomechanics studies, like coaching, off-season training. Like I think all of that has kind of changed it. And because not just on the offensive side of the ball, if you look at the defensive side of the ball, you got DNs that are running 4.4s now, 4.5s, like freaks, right? Yeah. They look more like linebackers than they do, or they're just huge linebackers that are playing on the line now. And you got linebackers, like true linebackers that are just as fast, right? 4.4, 4.5, 4.6 dudes that are now playing more of the pass game. They're not so much like the Brian Urlacher run stuffers of the world anymore. It's more of like the speedsters that can run around on the field and cover dudes. So I think that's had to change, or like the quarterback position had to almost evolve because the way the offenses are evolving, defenses are obviously evolving too. They're putting more speed on the field. So you got to be a little bit more athletic. You got to be twitchy. And that's the name of the game. It's like Tom Brady's not a fast quarterback by any means when he takes off running, but he's a twitchy dude in the pocket. Like he can make a move and get the ball out quickly. So if you can do that, that type of quarterback will stay in the NFL. But as we see it now, the colleges are recruiting more of not necessarily a dual threat, but a guy that has the ability to extend plays with his feet. And it's not so much under center pro style anymore. It's a lot of spread offense, RPO, run with a quarterback, just to be able to extend plays and trick defenses and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
now, oh my bad.
No, I was gonna say. So you're saying the overall offensive growth in the last 5-10 years has just been the fact that these quarterbacks are just becoming so much quick, twitchy, and the way the RPO, like you're saying,
I think so. And like I said, because of the RPO game, defense is evolving. Dudes being a little bit quicker off the edge.
They're kind of forced to change. Right?
Kind of forcing them to change, and evolve a little bit.
Yeah, and one of your athletes, Nate Johnson, he's pretty twitchy, right? He's
a twitchy guy. Absolutely,
he's that dual threat type of guy.
Yeah, he's one of the top dual threats, one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Obviously, you've seen him. You've done some video stuff. Yeah, I've been out there,
dude. The dude's got it, man.
Yeah, he's a freak. It doesn't take long. You click on his game film, and it doesn't take long for you to realize, okay, this dude's got like everything.
He just committed where? Didn't he just commit?
Yeah, Utah.
That's right.
Utah.
Dude,
awesome.
I went to the West Coast Relays. It's a track meet at Buchanan like a few months back, and I see Nate Johnson on the screen, his name, and he's running the 100 meter. I'm like, dude, what the hell is going on? Got a quarterback running the 100 meter in the West Coast Relays?
Yep.
Like, dude's an athlete, dude.
And I've told people this before. He's the fastest quarterback in the country.
100%.
And I'm not just at the high school level. Like he's got to be top three fastest quarterbacks in the country at any level.
Oh wow!
So
like you're talking. Wait, hang on. You're talking about like NFL level too?
Yeah. Put him against Lamar Jackson in a straight line. It'd be tighter than most people think.
Oh, you heard it here first.
You heard
Guys
it first.
Being Dudes, episode 12. Greg Panelli. Yeah, he just said put Nate Johnson next to Lamar Jackson.
Wow,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome, right?
That is awesome. You guys went to a visit at Michigan, right?
Yep. Yeah, we went to the
How
big
was that,
house.
dude?
It was fun, man.
Nuts. I've seen pictures of that.
It was like it was a total bucket list experience going to the big house. And for those who don't know the big house, that's the stadium over there in Ann Arbor that Michigan plays at. But huge stadium, obviously. Facilities were awesome. Coaches were awesome. It was good to meet Coach Harbaugh. Being a Niner fan, just a fan of his for for a while. It was cool to finally meet him. Coach Weiss over there, really good quarterback coach, came from the Ravens actually, and that was one of the reasons they were recruiting Nate. Is they wanted to be able to do some of that RPO game, run from the quarterback position at Michigan, which they haven't done a ton of. So Nate was one of their top prospects. So being able to go out there and kind of chop it up with the coaches and see the facilities, it was.
You go there picking their brains too?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've done a couple Zoom calls with them in the offseason, going over quarterback mechanics, going over some of their offensive stuff, and just trying to develop relationships with those guys too. That'll obviously, Nate's not going there, but moving forward, being able to kind of keep those relationships with the college coaches, and maybe there's a dude down the line that might end up getting an offer. TJ Hall is one of them.
Hall.
I talked to them about TJ Hall and from Memorial, and TJ ended up getting an offer from those guys. So,
TJ's a pretty athletic kid.
Yeah,
dude.
he's a really good athlete, man. He's a dude that's played corner. He's getting recruited corner, safety, but he also plays receiver, comes out every week, runs routes for me. So he's a dude that we'll be seeing here on Saturdays pretty soon.
Yeah,
I don't think he's
exciting.
going to be he probably won't be on the bench long in college either.
No, that's very exciting. But, I mean, over this time of just talking to you right now, it sounds like you got a lot of connections. You know what I mean? Like, talking to Coach Harbaugh, like, who gets to do that? No one. So, I mean, it sounds like you've gained a lot of connections over the years, over your experience and over your time playing and coaching and just traveling and meeting all these guys. But one of the bigger connections you got is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that. How do you guys know each other?
Yeah, Josh is like a little brother to me. My wife. So my father-in-law and Josh's dad grew up best friends. Mm-hmm. They were in each other's weddings. They grew up, went to college together. So my little brother-in-law, Josh, and Jason, Josh's little brother, they were all best friends growing up. So I met Josh 2013, going into his senior year of high school. Skinny quarterback that was trying to get recruited. So it was kind of like the same position that I was in as far as getting recruited. Small school, Division V football. Didn't get a ton of love. Fresno State came around here and there, but eventually obviously didn't offer him. Didn't even really want him as a walk-on, I don't think. So what I try to do is help him out. I sent out a bunch of emails for Josh. It was in like December, right after his season. He had a hell of a year, too, in high school. He threw for 3,000 plus yards. He had grades to go to the next level. But I sent out a ton of emails, and I got one response out of all those emails that I sent. And they said they were for the information to the offensive coordinator or whatever, and I never heard anything back. And that was from a Mountain West school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that?
I'm not gonna throw him under the bus, so I don't want to get anybody fired.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't just them. It was everybody missed, right?
Yeah, everybody missed.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda type of thing, right? Like if they would have known obviously what he would turn into, well then you would have had the SECs that would have offered him, or Pac-12 schools, or whatever it may be. So, I've known him, like I said, now since early 2013 or mid 2013, going into his senior year.
Were you working with him at all?
So yeah, we would do stuff like I wasn't even quarterback coaching really, like just stuff that I knew from being a quarterback that I learned from college, just like kind of screwing around with his receivers out there in Fireball and going over little things with footwork. So it wasn't even nearly what I do now or what I would do now with him. Obviously, he was out here with us last year training, and it wasn't nearly as extensive as far as the knowledge goes to what I have now. But just built a really good friendship with him. We talk multiple times a week. Play golf plenty of times in the off season. This last off season, we didn't play a ton of golf, but play golf in the off season. And I've treated him or treated each other like brothers now for the last 8-9 years. So
that's pretty sweet. That's pretty awesome. Were you there when he was committed to Wyoming and all that?
So I wasn't there when he committed. That kind of happened. So he went to Reedley College.
Yeah, he went to Reedley.
So he didn't even start at Reedley. So he left. He went from Fireball to Reedley, didn't start at Reedley College for the first 4 games, and ends up playing the season, kills it, and then has a couple visits scheduled, and Wyoming was one of them, obviously. And, Wyoming was really like the first school that showed him love. And so he decided to roll with it. He ends up getting hurt. His first official start there at Wyoming, we were on our honeymoon, my wife and I. And he ends up trying to run over a safety from like Eastern Michigan or something. I think that was the school. Tries to run over a safety up the sideline, broke his collarbone. Toasted. Out for the season. So then he bounces back the next year, kills it. Picked him up from the airport the next morning, and if I was an agent, he probably would have signed right there. Like, it seemed like he was ready to rock and roll, and he was ready to go to the NFL as a 20-year-old or whatever he was at the 20, 21. I don't even think he was 21 yet. He might have been. But he was ready, you know, and then.
Did he think he was ready, or
he thought he was ready? Yeah, I think he thought he was ready. And there was those projections out there that he might be like a late second or third round max pick. Then his coach came out here, sat down with his parents, and talked about the situation, what they thought would be best. So he thought it'd be best for collectively between his parents, him, and the coach to go back for another year.
Yeah.
And it obviously paid off for him. Went back for his redshirt junior year, and then he did fine. Obviously, he lit it up. You know, he had some good games, and just like garnered a lot of attention going into the season, and kind of carried it through this season as well. So draft day comes around, and we were in Fireball. We had a Bills party out there, or not even a Bills party. It was a Josh Allen draft party. And then I was getting ready to leave. We had a dinner that I was supposed to go to with my brother-in-law. We were getting ready to leave, and like he wasn't picked yet. This is like the 6th pick's rolling around, 7th pick. Like the Bills, I don't even know if they traded up. I think I forget.
Yeah, they traded up.
They traded up. Yeah, they traded up.
So there was talk that Arizona, well, the Broncos might take him. There was talk about the Broncos, and then there was talk about the Cardinals, and then the Bills. We hop in the car. And we're listening to it on the radio, and the Bills traded up. And, like, we're pulling out of the court. We literally slam in reverse, run back in the house really quick, and, like, 20 seconds later, they announced the pick. Everybody's screaming. It's jumping. All the people from Fireball were there. So everybody it was lit.
That's
for
awesome.
sure. No, it was
I just got the
jumping.
goosebumps.
Yeah, it was cool. So we were pumped, and then, like, 3 minutes later, boom, we're out the door. We went to our dinner here. And we had to go to a dinner here in Fresno. And but it was a really cool.
Talk about that moment, dude. Just like the energy in that room. Was it at a house? Or
yeah, it was at a house. I was at my in-laws' house. So it was cool. It was packed. I think ABC 30 was there, and Fox 26 might have been there. And a bunch of people, like his high school coach was there. So people that weren't at the draft, like immediate family was at the draft. And then everybody who was a part of his life somewhere or another, close family, friends were there at the party. There was probably close to 100 people there inside the living room watching on the big screen. And as soon as he gets picked, I got video of it. Just people exploded.
Are we able to put that? Are we able to show some video?
I'll try.
We'll put it up on the screen after. We'll show it after that. That's awesome.
Josh Allen.
There's a bunch of coaches, a bunch of schools just overlooking you, or just looking over you, and then one day, man, it's all worth it.
Yeah, it all paid off.
It all paid off. He definitely explains he goes about it with a chip on his shoulder, right?
Yeah.
And it makes you think that how many of these college guys are the recruiters are scratching their head like, damn, man, we should have went after this guy when we had the chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now look what he's doing. It's crazy. It was funny going back to when you said you golfed with him. I think I read an article the following season when they lost to Houston.
Yeah,
there was an article about it, and it was talking about you guys played some golf and you guys went over here to press box.
Yeah,
and it was a Kansas City Chiefs game was playing.
Yep.
And he like you guys all walked in, you guys were going about it, but you could just tell he had that bitter taste still in his mouth from losing.
He was pissed. You know, I feel like they had that game in the bag. And obviously anything can happen in the NFL, and especially in the playoffs. But he was very motivated to get back onto the field. Just even being out a week. But you could tell watching that game, it was kind of more of a sour taste. Like they thought they would have had a good shot against Kansas City, obviously. He was not the most ecstatic watching it on TV. And you could definitely see it. But at that time, I think is when it really clicked. You know, that he's going to take it to the next level. Like he almost had to experience, like you kind of have to experience it. You got to experience some type of failure, you know, in order to have success. And he needed to have that, I think, a humbling experience. And then obviously we saw what he did last year where he just absolutely lit it up. Yeah. And I would expect him to just continue on that path and just – especially with he just got a payday, obviously a nice payday.
That was a beautiful
more than a nice payday.
So you know, I know he's happy about that, and that's behind them now. So moving forward into the season, I think that you know he's got one goal in mind, and I think that they got the team do that. He got the right pieces to the puzzle.
And he's got the good he's got the right fan base, man. I
Perfect
think
fan base
Buffalo is perfect for
Good
Josh,
energy,
dude.
man. No, it's
Perfect
The
for
Bills
Josh.
Mafia loves Josh, which is it's really, you know, I think probably
It's
at first they
exciting.
were like, who the hell is this kid from Wyoming?
Right.
But now it's like the perfect fit, the blue collar type of city, the small town kid, and he's lighting it up there, and it seems like everybody loves him. So I haven't been out to Buffalo yet. I was supposed to go a couple years ago, and he ended up getting hurt. They played the Patriots on a Monday night, and he got hurt the week before, so I didn't end up going out there. But I'm hoping to make a trip there soon and kind of experience the jumping off the buses. I don't know if I'm going to jump off a bus onto a table, but at least see it in person.
Yeah.
And
Wait, they
see
do
how
that out there?
You haven't seen it? Yeah,
No,
they
I
jump
haven't
off.
seen
They
it.
jump off of buses and RV. Like they're known for like crashing through tables.
Wow.
Like, but,
they'll-
like the
they'll
fans?
stand up on a RV like with a table and just like bust through tables like it's WWE wrestling.
That's awesome.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
you guys.
Is this after
This
game
would be
or
like
what?
the perfect game, perfect setting for you guys to go to. But yeah, like the Bills Mafia is rowdy. Like they literally climb up on RVs, cars, whatever it may be, houses, and there's tables below, and like they're just slamming through tables like it's WWE.
That's
Wow,
awesome.
that is awesome.
Is this
dude.
before or after games?
Both,
During?
both during the whole
Holy
night. Like they
cow.
do it all the time.
That's awesome.
Like they were selling tables. I think they like loaded up on tables at Dick's Sporting Goods, at Big Five or something like that the week of the playoff games because they were just busting through
awesome.
tables.
They knew. They were like, these guys
Yeah.
are be smashing them.
Yeah.
Wholesaling, freaking buying and wholesale.
Yeah,
freaking
exactly.
some portable tables. That's freaking awesome, man.
That is awesome.
No, but let's, you know, we got a lot of football talk going on. Let's talk about you right now, like in your current life, you know, constantly coaching these quarterbacks on a
Yep.
day-to-day basis. Like, dude, you're a busy man. Dude,
Yeah.
like how do you balance like family, football, like everything that you got going on? Because, dude, every time I'm with you, I'm making either when I'm out on the field doing a video, this dude's phone just, you know, getting a phone call and he has to answer it and take, you know, do it. But like, how do you balance it all, man?
It's tough. Like the last year and a half, it got really busy. Obviously, with the shutdown things last March, kids weren't in school. Like business pretty much doubled like within a month.
Yeah.
It got really crazy. So we were going 6 days a week. You know, 7-8 hours a day on the field, 10 hours some days, driving to Modesto a couple of days a week, but trying to cater to all these guys, especially in the circumstance that they didn't have school at the time. So it was like training as a quarterback was one of the few outlets because they couldn't even do their team practices. So from that point on, it basically until like the last 2 weeks, it's where it's slowed down just because they started their football practice on schedule and on time. Like even in the spring, it was still busy when they were playing their 5-game season. But just trying to, I take a couple of days off a week now, like I have to at some point. And sometimes it doesn't even feel like because the phone is still going off, or there's quarterback dads that are hitting me up that want to talk, or there's coaches that are hitting me up. But, you know, just I'm blessed, 100% blessed to be able to do what I do and to have grown the business to what it is. And obviously there's plans to continue growing the business, but I'm just enjoying it, man. I get the opportunity to do what I love, to train quarterbacks, be around professional athletes, be around college athletes, be around great high school and even the youth kids that are the future. But then go home after, now it's like 4 or 5 hours some days where I can get to go home and then be with my kids, obviously, and my wife, and then kind of forget about it. But my wife, she loves it. She enjoys sports. She enjoys football. My son loves it. He loves being out there and watching the quarterbacks train. So I think I'm spoiled from a certain standpoint, and I'm humble, and that I love what I do. And the second that I think that it gets old, maybe I'll start looking to expand into different areas of football, but I can see myself doing this for the next 20, 25 years. But I'll obviously bring guys on, like Tyler Bray's now working with me training quarterbacks. I have my assistant, Thomas Romero, over in Modesto, so Thomas helps me out with quarterbacks. Tyler's going to start doing some of the South Valley stuff if he's not in the league within the next 2 weeks, which I think he will be. But just now that it's slowed down, it gives me time to reflect on, you know, what we've done. How can I grow it to make it a little bit more efficient, scheduling wise, catering to everybody, making sure that everybody can fit their sessions in, but also seeing things that I can do better for my own business, for myself, new training tips and tools and verbiage and drills, whatever it may be. But now it's kind of more, now that it's slow, I can talk to the college coaches a little bit more, help guys out with highlight tapes, sending emails, sending texts, sending Twitter messages, whatever it may be, to college coaches to help with recruiting. So for the next basically until December. It'll be a little bit slower. And then through December, it's somewhat slow, but I still train. Right now, I probably have 50 to 60 quarterbacks a week. Like yesterday, I had quarterbacks in Modesto. I think I had roughly 30 in Modesto yesterday over 3 or 4 sessions. And then during the week, I'll train kids here in Clovis. So I'll go for like 3 hours one day, train a couple groups, do some one-on-one stuff. And I'll go like 3 or 4 days a week here and then do 1 day in Modesto and take a couple days off usually. But it's
he's just so weird. He's like,
everywhere.
yeah, I can do like 4 days over there, 5 days over here. You know,
it's crazy. No, it is.
here.
It's crazy sometimes. Like it's, and that's the thing is working weekends. I know, obviously moving forward, as my son gets older, my daughter gets older. Like when they start playing sports, like there's gonna be times where I don't want to necessarily train on a weekend. So I'll start doing some more during the week stuff. When my kid's playing baseball or soccer games or even football eventually. So I know sometimes it's probably hard for my wife, so I give her props, but she's taking Sundays and Mondays off. So we have matching, well, not anymore, actually. I know I'm back training on Sundays during football because they play Fridays, so they get Saturdays off, and then we go Sundays. So I'll come home, we'll watch football, checking our fantasy football stuff throughout the day and kind of watching the games. And then Monday's more just like chill day. We don't want to do anything. But no, I give her props, and I thank her obviously for supporting me because she's been, there was times where it was a struggle. Like when I started training quarterbacks, I left my job. It was like a leap of faith, honestly. I had a kid. My son was not even a year old. A new mortgage, just bought a new truck. Like things were decent. And then I decided to go all in on the quarterbacks. And quickly things became stressful. You're not making nearly as much money. So I kind of forced myself and pushed myself to grow. Like I was hungry, obviously, and dreamt of where I'm at right now. And I feel like I still haven't even scratched the surface in the quarterback training world.
Yeah, you have not at all.
So I give her props for putting up with a lot of stressful times and a lot of BS and a lot of working on weekends and working on nights. And, but she's been supportive along the way. And I think without her honestly supporting me and kind of pushing me at times, yeah, it would have been easy to just call it quits sometimes or go find another job when things were a little bit tighter.
Yeah, that's a life lesson right there. I feel like just listening to you, like, because obviously you're older than the both of us, so I feel like I could just let you talk and then listen and learn from you. Because I have questions about the future, bro, like getting married and stuff like that. Like for instance, like you're a quarterback coach, it takes away a lot of time from your marriage. Like, and you've seemed to figure out a way to balance both worlds, and you've taken that leap of faith at the very beginning. And just, what were you doing before? You were finance?
Yeah, I worked in finance. So I did sales. Like we did construction finance, basically. And
then you just said one day, you're like, you know what? I'm going to go do this.
Yeah, I kind of I started to get the itch. Josh was obviously in high school, or he was in college at the time. And I remember talking to him, talking to my brothers, talking to friends, like, hey, what do you think about me starting to train quarterbacks? And I remember Josh like, well, there's nobody else around here. Like when he was going to high school, I was obviously working. He was in junior college, I was working. So my focus wasn't necessarily on training quarterbacks, but there was nobody around here for guys like him. Yeah. There's nobody around here for guys like Tyler Bray and Kingsburg. So I just took the leap of faith, started doing it, put it out there on Facebook. I initially started Instagram. And then like the first month, I think I had two quarterbacks. And then it went to like 6 quarterbacks. I remember I did a group session at my old high school, and I had a kid from Los Banos that I've trained, a couple of kids from Hillmar, a couple of kids from the high school, and then finally got some content to post, Facebook, social media, or Instagram, Twitter, and then word of mouth. Like that's obviously the driver. Social media is the driver for the business. So it grew from 6 quarterbacks to 10 to 12, and by the time I got to about 20 quarterbacks, which was probably stupid, but I ended up quitting my job. And then I really forced myself to like go all in on this thing. Just asking other quarterbacks, hitting up high school coaches, like, hey, you got any quarterbacks that need training or whatever it may be, and kind of selling myself to parents, obviously, like give me an opportunity. Sometimes I do like a free session would be like the first session would be a free session just to try and get them in the door, whatever it may be. And then it continued growing and growing and growing. But just staying the course. Like I remember at one point I was going to become a substitute teacher. It was like beginning of 2019. I was going to start subbing. My wife is going through school. You know, I was doing decent in the quarterback world, but I was going to start subbing just to make some extra money. Mm-hmm. And I went and did my test. The CBEST was like the test you need for subbing. I went and did the test. And right when I got the results back, like I was starting to look for like subbing jobs or whatever. And I never actually subbed one time. Right when that happened, like things started picking up. It got crazy. So like I went from training like 20 quarterbacks a week to like 35, 40 quarterbacks.
Wow.
It's like started to double.
Just
like instantly. It was weird. Yeah, instantly. And then just been rolling with it ever since, obviously. And then obviously, like I said, last year, the pandemic hit. And then once that, you know, with all the COVID stuff, it jumped to like 60 quarterbacks a week.
So that was your calling.
So like it was honestly like when I thought that I was going to have to start doing something else just to make it, while it was continuing to grow, when I just like right when I started doing the research on substitute teaching, like things started to take off. So I, you know, obviously praying about it, there was plenty of stressful nights, plenty of stressful days with just family and the wife, and you know, figuring out what the hell, like you said, like the future, like you don't know what the future holds. Like even with what I do now, as good as the business has been with quarterbacks, like I don't know what it's really going to look like in 5 years. I have an idea of what I want to do, but I don't know what it's really going to look like. So just I stayed the course, and like I said, my wife motivated the hell out of me. Like she stayed on
good.
me. And since she gave me that motivation and that push, like it's, you know, like the reassurance all the time, like it's going to be all right. Things are going to be all right, regardless of whether I thought they were or not. Like in the back of my head, there was obviously doubt. But it pushed me, and seeing other guys be successful, it pushed me. Doing, you know, reaching out to other quarterback coaches and finding ways that they're doing things, making myself available. Like that was the biggest thing at first. Like there's some days where I think all of us in the training world, or any job for that matter, like there's some days where you wake up and you're like, dude, I'm not feeling it today, you know, but you got to do it. Like you go look at your kid or you look at the wife, like they're relying on you. You got to do it.
Yep.
And that changes it. Versus if I was a single guy and, you know, I had my own place or whatever, maybe those days would have come where I was like, screw it, I'm not going to go out there today. And I'll just reschedule the quarterbacks, especially in the summer where you're sitting out there and it's 3:00 in the afternoon and you're waiting for your one-on-one to show up and it's the last one of the day. Like you got to find a little bit of extra motivation sometimes.
Yeah, seriously.
And, you know, I think that just watching guys progress, watching the younger ones, especially watching guys get scholarships, watching the dudes do well on Sundays and on Saturdays, and looking forward to what their future holds as well in the football world. I think that motivates me as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. How much I feel like you're a guy that, you know, you do what you love to do. Like you're doing what you love. How important is that to you in this world?
I think it's huge. Like I said, I've had a couple, like when I did sales, like I had a couple jobs where I made good money, right? Doing sales and finance. The job besides quarterback training that I loved the most was where I made the least amount of money, which is at the University of Oregon. Like my salary there was $25,000. Like, and
what were you doing for them?
Sales and marketing for football, baseball, basketball. I got paid commission on baseball tickets that were $15, and season ticket sales for football. Like everybody looked from the outside looking in, like, oh, you work for the University of Oregon, like it's badass. Well, yeah, it was badass, but those jobs, like sports are. Basketball, baseball is getting rocking. Like, so during football season, basketball starts playing. So you're going to basketball games, football games. Then you're going into baseball games while basketball season's going on. So you're working during the week, and then the guys play on the weekends for baseball. So you're at baseball games and basketball games and football games on the weekends. So you're working 6-7 days a week for a $25,000 base salary. So the perks of being around the facilities, being around the University of Oregon, the Nike stuff, everything was cool, obviously.
Yeah, that's badass.
But I obviously saw that I was going to have to make a change if I wanted to live the life I wanted to live and get married eventually. And so I met my wife while I was up there through a mutual friend, and then ended up moving back home closer to her. And that's when I settled here in Fresno, Clovis.
Yeah, she sounds like a supportive person, and that's important. It's like we said, it's important to have those people in your corner, right? To keep, like you said, keep motivating you and all that. And you know, you said you have 2 kids, right?
Yep.
And what are their names?
Enzo and Giada.
Enzo and Gianna. I like that. Yeah. So is Enzo the next QB1 or what?
I don't know, man. He might be too damn big to be a quarterback eventually. He's a pretty big 3-year-old right now, but I had an older brother that played baseball. He's about 6'4". I'm almost 6'3", and then 2 younger brothers. Both of them were offensive linemen. So we've got a big mix, and then her family's obviously bigger dudes as well, or bigger people as well. She's tall. She's 6 foot. My brother-in-law is 6'2". My father-in-law was about 6'3". So Enzo's probably going to be he's going to be a tank. Yeah, he already is a tank, but he can rip it right now. He can throw the ball pretty well. He loves playing soccer right now. He does a little league over there at Athletic Performance where I'm partnered up with. And then every time I'm out there training quarterbacks, like he wants to be out there throwing the football around as well. So he might be, but Giada, she'll probably be pretty tall too. Maybe volleyball, basketball. I don't know what they'll end up doing. Maybe Enzo will be a golfer. I don't know.
Hey, there you go. Going back a little bit, right, with all those transitions in your life from not playing anymore and then trying to kind of figure everything out, and then having your first kid. For someone like us who we don't have kids, eventually something like. What are those emotions like? Having your first kid, getting that out of the way. Like what is that?
Yeah, no, that like you think that things with sports are like the best day of your life. Like we won a bowl game, we won a national championship, like getting a scholarship. Like those are all days you're never gonna forget, right? But the day that I saw my son for like the first time was like all of that like. Can't even hold a candle to it. Like it takes the back seat by far, not even close. So having a kid, I mean, obviously when you see him and you start figuring out, he kind of looks like you, or he looks like your wife, or like they do little things with their smiles, or just like even like the little talking that they would do as kids, like brings a smile to your face. And I remember training quarterbacks, and I would leave in the mornings, my wife and my son. And I would be pissed that I had to leave. Like I was selfishly wanting to hang around and spend time with him or spend more time with him. And then as soon as quarterbacks were done, like
you're out
racing home just so I can go hold him and sit there and just look at him.
Watch him grow.
Yeah, watch him grow essentially, But it's the best feeling in the world. Having a kid was the best feeling in the world. And then my daughter came. She just turned 1 yesterday. So she came a year ago, and that changed the whole dynamic. 2 kids definitely changed the dynamic. My wife started working, and she's down here in a salon at Old Town Clovis. So, I watch the kids a few days a week, where they're just with me. Some days they're just with her. Some days my parents will come in. My mother-in-law will come in and watch them. But it changed the whole dynamic with 2. Like I used to be able to take Enzo to some trainings, just put him in the car and get him a football, or give him the iPad or my phone while I'm training quarterbacks for an hour or 2, and he would just sit there in the shade and kind of hang out. Yeah. But now with my daughter, like with 2 of them, it would be way too much. So, but it's the best feeling in the world, man. Having kids is the best feeling in the world. But you got to make sure you're definitely ready for it. Like, if you're not ready, it's gonna.
Were you in a position where you're financially stable at that time when you had your first?
When
kid?
when we had Enzo, I was still working in finance and everything was good. And then, like I said,
you quit after the kid.
I quit my job to go quarterbacks full time. So I was already training quarterbacks, but I quit. So
when you had after you had the kid,
after I had my son, so
talk about a leap of faith right there.
Dropped
Holy moly.
The insurance. Like I had insurance through my job, like health insurance, and a salary, and things were pretty good. And then I ended up just saying screw it.
That's sick. Honestly, that's so cool. No, I mean that's the dream right there, bro. Like not having to work a 9 to 5 at a freaking desk in a cubicle. I could be at my house on my computer.
If I could do it over, and maybe from a, I'm not the one to just milk money or whatever it may be, but I probably would have spent a little bit more time at that other job. But shoulda, coulda, woulda, whatever it may be. Hindsight's 20/20. So like I said, it forced me, like looking at my son every day. And knowing I had a mortgage to pay, it forced me to grow the business. Like I had no choice. It was either do that or go find another job again.
Right.
So that's what gave me that initial push to really get after it at an early stage with the quarterback training. Yeah. And then, now I wouldn't say that it's, there's still. I wouldn't say that it sells itself. Like you still obviously have to do the work. You have to put out the content. You have to help guys obviously get better. It's not just like they show up and I can just let them do what they want to do. Like, no, I want to see guys get better. I enjoy seeing those guys every week in the newspapers or on social media or in write-ups or getting scholarship opportunities, because at the end of the day, I'm doing what I do because I love it, but also because I want kids to get the same opportunity that I eventually had out of JC. But this valley, like the Central Valley, as you guys know, is probably one of the more under-recruited areas, if not the most under-recruited area in the state. Not necessarily so much in Fresno, even though it is in Fresno, Clovis, but Modesto, Merced, Los Banos, everywhere. Stockton, like the whole, all the 99, basically, just off the 99, it's probably the most under-recruited area. So being able to help those guys out and maybe afford them opportunities to get scholarships, whether it's Division I, Division II, III, NAI, whatever it may be, but the opportunity to save their parents some money on an investment with me and trusting me with their kid to train them up from an early age or from high school, whatever it may be, on to getting hopefully a free education. Like, that's the end game. And obviously everybody wants to make it to the NFL, but the reality is that only very few of them will.
Yeah.
But to make sure that they can get their education paid for, partially paid for, like that's the big goal.
What makes you a good quarterback coach? What makes you Greg Panelli?
I think being myself.
Yeah.
Some people might say I joke around too much. Some people might say I'm an asshole or whatever it may be. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's all jokes. Like you see me out there talking crap to dudes. Like, that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy being around the younger generation and, you know, talking crap with them. And still, it keeps me feeling young.
Yeah.
Trying to stay like in tune with the latest stuff. That whether it's music, whether it's style or clothes or shoes or whatever the hell it may be. Like,
dude, this guy's hip, bro.
Yeah, trying to stay hip. You know, I got to try and stay, and I'll stay on top of them. You know, I told them, I tell all these guys, and I told RJ this before, like, I'll make sure that none of them have better shoe game than me.
Dude, he's wearing off-whites right now. I don't know if you've seen that.
I didn't see him, but
yeah, he's got off-whites going right now, and he wears off-whites to the field, dude. He'll go out there freaking. I see pictures on his Instagram. Dude's wearing off-whites in freaking grass, bro. I could see if it was like turf or something, but like grass, bro.
The shoe game has to be on point, my guy.
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, I'll be going out there too. I'll pull up. He's got freaking like Lil Durk or someone on the speakers, just going hard, dude.
No, like I said though, it keeps me young. Like, these guys, they're fun to be around.
Yeah.
Most of these dudes that I train are really fun dudes to be around. They have aspirations. They're motivated. And that keeps me motivated. It keeps me on top of my game too. You know, being able to see other guys, especially with social media, like what other quarterback coaches are doing, what their guys are doing, how good their guys are becoming. Like, that's pushing me as well. But just trying to be myself. I stay in my lane. You know, I'm not the greatest. I don't think I'm the greatest quarterback coach in the world. Some people say, "Oh, you're the best coach," and you know, whatever it may be. That's all great, and I appreciate the love. But realistically speaking, like, I have plenty more to learn. I'm humbled, and I got mad love for all the dudes that come train with me, and I'm going to continue to try and grow this thing, not just here in the Central Valley, but to continue growing, hopefully into the draft prep, obviously, with guys that are coming back from college and having those guys come out here and train with us for 10 weeks or so, getting ready for the NFL draft. Like, that's the goal as well. And just being able to travel the country and see different quarterbacks from around the country and hopefully help them out as well.
That's awesome, man. So what's the next step for Panelli Passing Academy? What's like, do you have like a plan do you have like a 5-year plan? Like, where do you see this going?
Yeah, I see it, you know, obviously expanding just here in the Central Valley. I think that there's plans to continue growing it in the South Valley. Being able to take kids around the country to different camps, show them different experiences, being able to talk and meet with different quarterback coaches from around the country, different college coaches from around the country. But just to grow this thing, even working with more of the NFL guys, getting them here in the off season. We do have a good little group of guys that come back in the off season and train. But to continue growing that as well. I don't think from a coaching perspective, I'm going to be coaching like high school football. I get asked all the time. People ask why I don't coach it. I don't know if I have the patience to coach high school football from a team perspective. I got mad love for all the coaches that do it, but it would be, I've done it. I've helped out certain teams, but that would take away more time from the family as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So being able to just to stay grounded with what I'm doing right now, continue growing it, maybe do some online quarterback coaching at some point or another, being able to provide the same benefit that I got with guys here to other kids from around the country, because there's plenty of kids that'll hit me up from other parts of the country asking when I'm going to come out. So I do plan to go to the South next year. I want to do something in the South with my boy Croc that's out there in Arkansas, and try and expand just to go see different parts of the country. Use what I got right now as an avenue to see different parts of the country and go work with other kids, go see different lifestyles or different ways of the football life around the country. But I do want to go continue to build relationship with college coaches, go see different universities. What I got to see at Michigan, obviously, and being at Oregon and seeing different facilities, that kind of motivates me as well to continue doing that in the off season and taking guys around to see that as well.
Yeah, it sounds like you're all about relationships and opportunities.
No, I think it's huge. That's the biggest thing, even in life, not just quarterback coaching, but in life. Relationships are going to go further than even experience most of the time. You know, so being able to garner those relationships and stay on a good track and having those good, solid relationships where being honest with people, whatever you're doing. Being honest with college coaches. Like, college coaches ask me all the time. Some guys would ask me about Nate. Like, what's the chances? I'm like, there's probably not a chance, man. Like, I'm just going to be real with you. But I think people respect honesty at the end of the day. So being up front with those guys, they'll respect it a lot more than me leading them on and BSing them. You know, they'd rather hear a no than maybe. It just goes back to the sales world. So
yeah. Pivoting back a little bit, right? What would you say the perfect model of a QB? Like, I mean, I know there's not perfect, but your perfect model of a QB, someone that you know, the way that you coach, go about it.
From like a NFL perspective, like Josh Allen's arm and so-and-so's frame and this guy's feet, like that type of thing?
In a sense of like the way you coach, right? Because like, you know, you're not obviously just coaching the physical ability, but I'm saying like, you know, is the fact of being disciplined, you know, those guys that are able to put that bad play away and get to that next play, like, are those the type of guys that, you know, you're looking for?
So like an ability to forget, right? Like that's huge. Like you screw up, having the ability to forget. But the ultimate team leader, somebody who can vocalize the rights and wrongs, being able to set guys up on the line of scrimmage, change protections, like having that mental piece is huge. And that's where a lot of guys, especially younger dudes, lack that mental piece. So trying to provide them that mental piece with defensive recognition, fronts and coverages, the twitchy athletes. Like people get so caught up, and I guess I'll give you this. Like people get so caught up, especially quarterbacks or parents, even college coaches, with what it's supposed to look like. Like, this isn't right because it doesn't look like Tom Brady does it, or it doesn't look like Mahomes does it, or whatever it may be. But you really look at guys like Mahomes and guys like Josh, guys like Kyler Murray. Like, from a mechanical standpoint or a biomechanical standpoint, like they might not be the ones that do everything biomechanically
accurate,
like correct, if you would. Rodgers is the same way. Like, most of the time they do. You know, whether it's the off arm or their feet or their hips or whatever it may be. But those guys freestyle so much. Like, I've had this conversation with multiple quarterback coaches. That give me a guy that's just a dude. Like, give me a gamer that's a leader, that gets it done. Like, you want the ball in his hands at the end of the game. He might not be the prettiest mechanically. But guess what? He's gonna get it. He's a gamer. He's going to get it done at the end of the day. Like, that to me is a better makeup than the kid that drops back on a workout tape and just looks so clean mechanically that he'll get offers, he'll get attention just because he looks really fundamentally sound.
Right.
But maybe you put him in a game and he can't do the same as the other kid that's just a gamer.
Makes a lot of sense.
No, I feel like that's important for a lot of young quarterbacks here in the Valley, you know, take away, because I mean, you got to be able to forget. I feel like you got to be able to forget, like, just in life though. Like, you know, like, you got to be quick to forget. You know, something bad happens, man. You got to get over it, move on, you know, still go about your business, you know, if you're like either at fault or if you're, you know, just did something wrong, own up to it, move on. But the ability to forget, I think, is huge in being a quarterback, sports, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're the leader, dude. Every single play, man. Yeah. You get the rock. It's up to you to see how that play turns out, man. Like,
seeing all these quarterbacks now and having your time with it, what would you say the biggest misconception of, you know, a quarterback is?
Ooh, the biggest misconception of a quarterback?
Yeah. Or like, what's the biggest misconception that are out there for quarterbacks? Not in a quarterback, I guess.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because there's a lot. I mean, and it's all kind of...
I've never had that question.
There you go, guys being dudes.
Biggest misconception from a quarterback. That they're, okay, I'll put it this way. Like from, especially guys at a high level and even athletes as a whole, like they're still people, right? They're not Superman.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day. Like, although your favorite quarterback might be Tom Brady, like Tom Brady's not going to win every single game. Right. We've seen that. He wins a lot more than he loses, right? But he's not Superman. Josh is going to win a lot of games. Patrick Mahomes is going to win a lot of games. Like your favorite athlete is going to win a lot of games, but at the end of the day, they're still people. So like there might be a game in a fourth quarter comeback. That certain athlete, that certain quarterback, just they fall just a little bit short. And who's usually the person to blame?
The quarterback.
The quarterback, right? When things go well, quarterback.
Dude,
things go bad, the quarterback, right? Like,
right.
And so if somebody gets sacked, it's so like O-line's to blame most of the time. Or sometimes you got to look at the quarterback. Did he hold on the ball too long? Interception. Whether it's a tip ball or not.
Nah, quarterback.
It's going on the quarterback, right? It doesn't go on the receiver. So that they're just real people too. Like they're going to make mistakes. More often or not, they're probably going to succeed, obviously. That's why they're in the NFL. But they're also going to make mistakes. And so just understanding that these guys are real people too. When they come home in the offseason, they're real dudes. Josh is a humble guy. Tyler's a very humble guy, obviously, being around him, and you've been around him a little bit. You know, he's in the NFL for 8 years.
Wow.
And just, I think that understanding that they're not going to be, just because you got a fantasy football team going on and you want Josh to do his own read and run the ball in, excuse me, versus throwing it, like they're not the ones always calling the plays either.
Exactly.
So that's another misconception is like sometimes, yeah, they will make audibles, but they're not always the ones that are calling the plays either. Like they have the ability to change plays or protections or whatever it may be, but sometimes coach calls it in through the headset. Like that's what they're running. That's what they got to do. So for the fantasy football folks, that's a reality too. So I know people get pissed. Oh, I need my guy to get the ball. Sometimes your guy's not the first read or the second read in the progression. So,
oh, dude, I can't tell you how many Sundays have gone by where I'm just screaming at the TV for that one extra point. That one extra point, I'm losing by 1 point or something, dude.
Right.
Oh my gosh, got the whole fourth quarter and just blow it. Oh, I can't stand when that happens. But are you excited for fantasy football coming up?
I am. Yeah, we're gonna do. We're gonna have our fantasy draft. I think we've been doing our league for 10 years now. And it's been with family. My wife plays in it. My little brother's playing it. My dad plays in it. My uncle. So we have a good time with it.
Competitive.
It's competitive. A lot of
that's awesome.
A lot of talk going on. Even during the draft, like you look at the chat. We put some money, not a ton of money, but it's like $50 or something like that. But we enjoy it. It's a lot of crap talk, and we'll get together on Sundays with other people, obviously from the league or family from the league, and watch the games together and talking crap during the week to each other. So I enjoy fantasy football heavily.
Yeah. It's one of the best times of the year, dude.
It really is.
It really
is.
We
look forward to it. No, we look forward to it. Like especially like the draft, and then after the draft is like, you know, from generally speaking, like it's all guessing. Like, we don't know who's going to have a good season or who's not. Like,
dude,
you draft Pat Mahomes, like you never know. Like Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, like those guys got hurt early on. Like you never know, and it's like it's funny because you know I'm a part of it too. It's like you somebody drafts a team like, oh dude, your team is crap. Like you guys suck. Like that's a weak ass team. Yep. And then you end up playing that team during the year and you get beat. And you got on paper you got better dudes, but those dudes didn't necessarily perform. Yep. And it's not like you as the fantasy football owner of that particular team has any control over. Right. It's all guessing, right? You're guessing. You're drafting a team off of guessing who's going to probably do better than the other team. Yeah. And it's funny, like we talk crap to each other, and you guys will talk crap to each other. Like we have any control over it whatsoever. Right. And like especially with the fantasy football people online, like on TV, like it kind of cracks me up. So some of these guys, no, I'm not gonna say any names. But some of these guys are on TV, like they're giving their projections. It's just a projection at the end of the day, like. That's all it is. It's a guess. You're guessing that this person's going to be
they have
doing
full
better.
Fantasy shows now. Like,
guys full just, fantasy
like,
shows.
Talking for an hour about what their projections are.
Trust me, I would love to do that. Like, I think that so-and-so is going to have a good week based off these Saber metrics, and somebody spent this a ridiculous amount of time looking up. But I I think it is. It's the funnest time of the year as far as football goes. And I think it's brought more fans to the game.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the gambling stuff now has made it like the FanDuel and the DraftKings and all that stuff. Like I haven't done that in a while.
Oh, dude, it's fun.
Like I'll do like a $2 pick.
Dude.
I'll do a $2 pick and end up, trying to win some money on like the Thursday night games or whatever, maybe where you draft a roster. But I thoroughly enjoy fantasy football. My wife does too, and she talks a ton of crap because she's been in the playoffs every year, I think, since she started playing. Wow. She's won the championship a couple times. She was in the championship last year. She ended up losing, but she's won. Yeah, she's like really into it. She holds, like, I got to stay on top of my game at home. Like, she'll talk about trades, and I'll like go on my phone, like look at like free agents, and I'm above her on the waiver order. She did the research, and I'll go look, and somebody's above. Awesome. Like if I'm above her on the waiver order, like I'll make sure I go pick up that player before she even gets a chance to.
That's awesome.
So no, we have fun with it, man. It's a good time.
So who gets Josh Allen?
Yeah,
is he first pick? Is he first pick in the draft?
You can't pick him first.
No,
I'm
sorry. Josh was not the first pick. Sorry, Josh, but you weren't the first pick in the draft last year.
Not for a quarterback.
I know you're not going to go first.
I don't even think if he's playing fantasy. I don't even know if he's picking himself first pick. Maybe he's picking one of his receivers. I don't know.
Diggs.
But he might be picking Diggs. But my wife had Diggs last year, and she had Josh.
And then
she got Josh in like the second and third round. But that combo's in fantasy football is stupid.
It's stupid because Diggs, you get like 50 points off some deep passes.
Like, the other one that a couple years ago was stupid was like I had Ben Roethlisberger and Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
And they would dump the ball off to Le'Veon all the time. Yeah. He would get like PPR leagues, right? Yeah, PPR leagues. He would end up getting like 11 points just off of, or 10 points off of receptions alone because they're dinking and dunking it to him out of the backfield. And he'd have 10 catches for 50 plus another 120 on the ground. Like he was the perfect dude to have. The year before that, she had Antonio Brown and Ben. So she's got it kind of figured out.
She's got
like quarterback receiver combo.
She knows what she's looking for when she goes into that draft.
Like if you get Tyreek Hill and Mahomes, like forget about it. Or Tyreek Hill and Kelsey or
any combo, dude.
Kelsey, any combo, like especially with big name receivers, I think you'll be all right.
I think this year is going to be interesting though because there's so many rookies that are going to play, and with all the quarterback and receiver combos that are out there, there's so many. I mean, I think.
What do you think about that?
Interesting.
That's another thing that's changed the fantasy game. Like you want to talk about quarterbacks that have changed and evolved. Look at the quarterbacks now with fantasy. Like Josh is an athlete. You don't necessarily like people don't see him as being a running quarterback. Dude's got like the second most rushing touchdowns, I think, in the NFL since 2019 or 2018, whatever it may be. And so, like, he's not necessarily considered a dual threat, but he's really a dual threat quarterback where he can tuck and go. He might get you 8 rushes in a game for 75, 80 yards and a touchdown and then throw another 2. From a fantasy perspective, he's racking up points. So like the guys like Justin Fields, 30, like 40. Justin Fields is probably going to be that way this year. Kyler Murray's like that. Russell Wilson, he's sneaky fast. He's racking up points. Wilson, so you get Russell Wilson on your team.
That's my guy.
You're going to be cranky.
I had DK. I messed up in getting DK. Dude, like Seattle, bro, like every week it changes, bro. And they got one guy that
all the receivers.
They change it every single freaking week, dude. So I would have DK, bro, and like some weeks I'd get like 0 points or like 2 points. And like that should not happen, man.
Because dude's the biggest one in the league. 4 touchdowns because they were double teaming DK all last year, bro.
Oh my
massive.
gosh.
The Russell Wilson combo with Lockett. I know my little brother's always had Lockett on the team or like Rodgers and Adams It's stupid. You rack up some serious points doing that.
Yeah, man. But before we close out, we got one last question to hit you with, man. Out of everything that you've already done, your years playing, the people you met, literally your whole life, like I like to say that you're living the dream. Who has made you who you are today? It could be one person, it could be a couple people, but who has made Mr. Greg Panelli?
I think my parents, first of all, obviously, grooming me and the way that they raised us. My dad always worked hard. He was a CHP for 32, 33 years. He just retired last year. But making sure that he was around too. So, like, he would always go to work, whether he was taking time off, but he would go to work and then come to our games. Like, now I see it too. Like, especially with my son, where I'll go out and train quarterbacks all day. And I get home, and right when I walk through the door, like my son has a football or baseball in his hand. It's like, You got to do it. You got to play catch with him. You got to kick the ball around with him. You got to do it. Whatever it may be. My dad always did that and like made me respect him so much more when I became a dad, because he would get off work and like toss him the glove. Like he would just come home, shower, take his uniform off, whatever it may be. And then we're throwing him a glove like, let's go out and play catch. I know that was the last thing he probably wanted to do at the time, but he still did it, right? So like the way that my parents raised us, you know, to be humble, to be grateful, to be polite, I think obviously has shaped me into the person I am. My wife being there and just her motivating me over and over. Like I said, the dark days of just at times where I feel like the quarterback training was a failure. Even though I was training a good amount of kids, like it didn't feel like it was what I should be doing some days. Right. And she pushed and pushed and pushed. You know, and past coaches. And then friends and family, like guys that are just motivated, people that are close to me, brothers that are close to me, like almost feeling like that sense of failure if I would be letting people down sometimes. Like I had that stuck behind me for a long time when I left Eastern Washington. Like I was supposed to be this Division I quarterback, and then I transferred to a small school, and I felt like I was letting so many people down. But now just the close circle that I have, being able to bounce ideas off of them, having the support system, my assistant that helps me out, my wife, my parents, my brothers, my mother-in-law that helps out with the kids, like all of those people together, Dave over at AP, like Dave has been a huge influence on me at AP. Like all of those people together, I think have helped shape where I am currently right now today and where the business is, and will continue to help shape moving forward as things start to change and grow a little bit more. So I appreciate all the help along the way, and appreciate all the love and the support that everybody's given me through the quarterbacks, the parents, just everybody. I think it's been a whole collective effort from the PPA family and my immediate family and friends that have all kind of shaped me.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Congratulations to you, dude, on all your success and growth over the years. Like,
I appreciate it.
Man, to hear that you like quit your job and you already had a kid is unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
Because like you're probably hanging on to that job because in that state you're comfortable, right? You know that you got an income coming in, you know, things are okay, and then like you said, that leap of faith.
Yep.
You're uncomfortable now, right? You're out there exposed, you feel like, you know, vulnerable. Like every little thing that you do has to be a step in the right direction at that point.
Right.
And you figured it out. That's awesome, man. Congratulations on everything you've done again. And thank you for coming on, man. We had a great time today.
I appreciate you having me, man. I didn't know if I was going to get the invite at some point, RJ.
Dude, come on.
No, I'm messing with you. No,
come on.
Honestly, I give you guys props for doing this. Like it's pretty cool, and I hope this obviously continues to grow into something big. Maybe at some point or another we'll be sitting here doing a fantasy football talk at some point.
Yeah, might
have
to.
Who knows? But no, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'm happy for you guys with the way things are going. And obviously I'll be seeing you moving forward doing the video stuff. So with the football guys, and not just football guys, but you know, all athletes in general. So
that's awesome.
I appreciate you guys' content.
Luke, do you have anything to say, man, before we head out?
This fired me up, dude. It was good. You stole the show, dude. Seriously.
I appreciate it.
And I mean, just hearing how humble of a guy you are and just everything, your whole journey, it's awesome. It really is cool to see where you're at now. It's only going to go up.
No,
so
thank
I love
you, man.
it.
I appreciate that.
I love it.
Yeah, you guys can find Mr. Greg Panelli on Instagram, Twitter. You know, I'll put his socials down below. So go check him out, follow him, see what he's doing on a day-to-day basis. And thank you guys for tuning in and listening to Guys Being Dudes for the 12th episode in a row. You can find Guys Being Dudes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course, if you're a visual learner, then YouTube. But guys, that was episode 12. Greg, thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you, guys.
We will see you guys next Tuesday. Peace.
See you guys.